Harry is after his job, and for him and Meghan, and he doesn't want that. Harry wants to help him. Well, Harry's not the sort of person who's going to now say what he's been told by his brother. He knows too much, and he'll start doing other. Other things his way, which will not be William's way. And it's going to be William who's going to be the king. And I don't think he'll like that at all. And as for Meghan, absolutely can't stand her. Neither of them can. And he might have given her a kiss there, but it's not actually meaning anything, I can tell you.
Prince William and Prince Harry's closest confidant is speaking out. And this is really interesting because it raises the prospect for a potential reunion at some stage between the brothers, which is certainly not something that I want to hear. And it's probably, I imagine, something that you don't want to hear. But Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton really matters because in terms of people who are not actual blood relatives, no one is closer than this man to both brothers. He was there right from the beginning. He had a close relationship too with the late Queen Mother, with the late Princess Diana, so he was always someone the brothers trusted. He was in charge of their office for years. He was in charge, I mean, look at him with Catherine, look at the dynamic there. He was in charge with running William and Catherine's wedding, and he is even now a loving godparent to the future king, Prince George. So when Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton speaks out, he is described in the Times in this interview as the man who kept their secrets. I do think you have to listen. So Angela Levin, our royal mastermind, Prince Harry's biographer, who also spent a great deal of time in the past with the Duke of Delusion. I'm going to get into the details of what Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton says, but from an overall perspective, do you think it's interesting that he has made it clear in this interview that he does still have optimism that there could be some ability or chance or way or process for Harry in the future to return to the royal fold? And is this part of what Richard Eden in the Daily Mail has described as Operation Thor? This idea that if enough people connected to the British royal family, if enough people connected to the British government in high positions keep on talking positively about Prince Harry, that eventually the public will change their mind and Prince William might even change his mind.
I don't think William will change his mind. He's been heard terribly rude things from Harry for himself, but even worse ones for his wife. And I think he feels absolutely appalled of what his brother has said about Catherine, who he once said he wanted for his sister and he loved her dearly. And I think that he will never change. The other thing is that Harry is after his job, and for him and Meghan, and he doesn't want that. Harry wants to help him. Well, Harry's not the sort of person who's going to now say what he's been told by his brother. He knows too much, and he'll start doing other things his way, which will not be William's way. And it's going to be William who's going to be the king. And I don't think he'll like that at all. And as for Meghan, absolutely can't stand her. Neither of them can. And he might have given her a kiss there, but it's not actually meaning anything, I can tell you. And so he's got to stay very careful. You have to be very careful. Somebody can creep round and jump in and get something that they want that you have. It's not on at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Angela. But let's take a look at what Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton has said. It's interesting, it's very nuanced, and I think it's impossible not.
Could Prince William and Prince Harry one day reconcile? A former senior royal aide who worked closely with both brothers, Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton, has shared his view that a reunion may still be possible. His comments have reignited discussion about the future of the royal relationship between the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Sussex.
Not to respect this man,
Oh, yes.
given all of his experience. And so he talks about being hauled out of retirement to be the herder of cats for the King's coronation in 2023 when he looked after his godson, Prince George, and all the pages, including the Queen's grandsons, Gus and Louis Lopez and Freddie Parker Bowles. We spent a week together, Lowther-Pinkerton says. We had such fun because we had to do our business, but then we went and looked at the Imperial War Museum. They were all charming boys, really charming, so well behaved, totally different from what I was like, I've been sort of a scallywag. And Kate Mancy went on to report Lowther-Pinkerton's domestic setup gives little away about his past life, having dined with Princess Diana aboard the Royal Yacht Britannia. He helped to change the shape of the military careers of both Prince William and Harry, and was responsible for showing Kate Middleton the ropes when she married into the royal family. By the way, isn't it terrible that the Times newspaper still refers to Catherine as Kate? Just a little side note. This is what he said about William, Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton. I always saw him as the Lion King, a natural-born leader surveying his territory from a rock. Harry, meanwhile, was more a mischievous cub scampering around. I loved them both, he says sincerely. From 2005 to 2013, a very long time, even by royal standards, Lowther-Pinkerton was full-time principal private secretary to the princes and held that post part-time for another year after that. When he started, William was 22 and Harry 20. It meant that Lowther-Pinkerton was the only courtier whose job required them to ride a trail bike at speed to keep up with his charges. A crucial part of his role was to help steer the boys, he calls them boys, through their military careers. Brave guys, he says, of both William and Harry. When they were soldiers, it was important that they did it right and properly. That's how I saw that 10 years I had with them, primarily to get it right, so they could say, as my Anglo-Irish father used to say, I've known the days I've done it. Harry went on operations in Afghanistan twice, and for William, you can look anybody in the eye if you're flying a Sea King on a fixed bearing through a Force 8, Force 9 out in the middle of the Irish Sea or the North Atlantic to pick up a sick crewman, or fly up against the cliff face of Snowdonia in gusts. Lowther-Pinkerton is widely credited for getting Harry into Afghanistan under the radar for 2 successful tours of duty. He now reveals that he also battled officials repeatedly to give William the chance to serve in Afghanistan, but was blocked on security grounds. So, Angela, absolutely fascinating, because it does remain, and it remained one of the fault lines between the brothers for many years. And having written Harry's biography, how proud he was of his service. But it was always, I guess, a bitter point for William that he was not allowed to actually see that real frontline duty in Afghanistan or Iraq, because the Queen, I believe, the late Queen Elizabeth II, quite rightly said, no, he's directly in line to the throne. He's the second in line to the throne. Personally, yeah. Angela, I backed her decision, but it did mean a lot, didn't it, for Harry, the fact that he actually got to do that and William didn't. It was one of the, I guess it was one of the moments where he felt like, as spare, it was a benefit. The latest bombshells from Harry and Meghan that the Montecito Mafia and the rest of the media are desperate to hide. Subscribe right now for the real story with zero spin and zero censorship.
Well, they lived together when they were both learning how to sort of fly various different planes. And they managed it. They managed to work it out. William was upset, but he realized he's irrational. And he realized that he couldn't actually do that. He couldn't be dangerous and be there for somebody to come out and shoot him. Harry didn't do anything very difficult. He had loads of people go with him to be round him and to make sure he was all right. And after he'd gone back once, because Australia knew where he was, so they stopped him being where he was.
Yeah, the
And
Australian magazine New Idea.
yes, it was a magazine, and they put him up in the sky, and he didn't have to do very much up